and then you just rearrange the terms. Okay. How did you find the 52nd term? Plug in n is 52. And then recursive formula would be the first term is 38, and all the other terms are the term right in front of it plus 5. What's he doing?
Recording.
Oh, okay.
Filming.
All right. Okay. All right. 61. What kind of a sequence is that? It's geometric. Now, sometimes they're neither, right? But this one happens to be geometric. And what's R? -4. And the way you set up the nth term for geometric is it's the first term times the ratio to n minus 1. And it's n minus 1, just like arithmetic is n minus 1, except for that n minus 1 for arithmetic is you're adding it that many times, and n minus 1 for geometric is you're multiplying it that many times, okay? And so if I want to plug in the numbers I've got, the first term is 2, and the ratio is -3. There's nothing really else to do, okay? And then recursive works sort of the same way. The first term was 2. The nth term is the term right before it times what? Which is, in this case, -3. Right? Okay, any problems with 62? Finding the missing terms in the arithmetic sequence. You could either have said 28 plus 4D equals 40 and figured out the difference and added it over and over. Or because there's an odd number of terms missing, you can actually average the first term and the last term to get the middle term, and then average the middle and the first to get the second, and average the middle and the last to get the third. Okay? Most of y'all probably averaged. Now, 63, I purposely made it where you couldn't do that. And so how many ratios do you need to get from 2 to 128? 3. So 2r cubed is 128. And r cubed is 64. So what's r?
4.
R is 4. So I went from 2 to 8 to 32 to 128. 28. All right. Now, if there had been an odd number of missing terms, you could have used geometric mean, but I think most of y'all are more comfortable with the R idea for the geometric ones. Arithmetic ones, you're used to averaging arithmetically. Okay, 64. How many of you lost points on 64? How many of you tried to use an arithmetic or geometric formula for 64?
Yeah, I tried.
Why doesn't that work?
It's not
arithmetic or geometric. So the only way you could actually do 64 is to understand what it was asking for, which is take the sum of the first 6 terms for the sequence that's k times k plus 1. Well, the first term is 1 times 2. And the second term is 2 times 3. And the third term is 3 times 4. And you had to keep doing that all the way through the 6th term. That's why the number was small, which was 42. And then what did you do with these numbers? You had to add them. Like you actually had to add them up. Okay? Possibly. Okay? So if it's arithmetic, it's going to look like a line in slope-intercept form, right? Y equals mx plus b, like this one. Oh, no, you can't see this. 65 is arithmetic. Okay? So 65 can use the formula. Right? 65, I know I could say there's 14 terms over 2. And what's the first term? It's 8, because you plug in 1. And what's the last term? I bet it's subtraction, isn't it? You plug in 14. What's 12 minus 4 times 14? -44. Okay? And that you can put in your calculator. 7 times 8 minus 44. You can do it because it's arithmetic. And same thing for 66. What kind of a series is 66? Geometric. And so that formula is a little trickier. It's the first term times 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. but a lot of that's pretty easy to figure out. What's the first term? 3. And 1 minus, what's r? 4. And then what's the number of terms? 8 divided by 1 minus 4. Okay? So having it in summation form for geometric is actually easier than being given the numbers, right? And you plug that. What happens to my n? 8. There it is. Yeah.
Do we have to know how to do infinite sums?
Oh, I didn't put an infinite on here, did I?
No.
Uh-oh. Hopefully not. I may have to change it if it is.
It's just not the 1 minus 1.
It's actually easier. It's a over 1 minus r. Yeah. I hope not. I actually don't remember. Unfortunately, I worked the key like 3 weeks ago, so now it's not fresh in my brain anymore. Okay. What do you have to do with 67? You're going to have to figure out how many terms it is. And is it arithmetic or geometric? It's arithmetic. So the nth term, which is negative 169, is the first term, which is negative 28, plus the difference, which is plus 3, minus 3, minus 3 times n minus 1. And so when you solve for n, what number of term is it? 48? Y'all are confident in that?
48.
I don't need to break calculator out. 48. Okay. So then when it's trying to find the sum, it's 48 over 2 times negative 28 minus 169. So you can use the formula because it's arithmetic. Okay. And you would not want to have to do that in your calculator like negative 28, negative 31, negative 34, negative 37, negative 40, negative 43. That would take forever. Okay. 68 is what kind of a sequence? It's geometric. And so I know this one's a little trickier. The nth term, 59,049, is the first term, which is 3, times the ratio, which is what? 3 to what power? N minus 1. And I'm going to divide off this 3 right here, and that's going to give me 19,683 is 3 to the n minus 1, which might seem like, well, that's a big, giant, huge pain, except for that you can write it as log base 3 of 19,683 is n minus 1, and that can go in your calculator. That can be log of 19,683 divided by a log of 3, and you don't have to figure out what power of 3 that is. Okay, your calculator will tell you. What is that? What is it?
The way we do that is just with the buttons. You don't have to put log 10.
No, because it's defaulted to 10.
So
Yes.
you just type, you press
Log
button.
of that number divided by log of that number. Yep. That's why we need to change the base formula. Now, some of the calculators will let you pick your own base, in which case you could do that, but I don't think any of y'all probably have a calculator that does that.
Wait, if it does that, then you can just do log
Base 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? And so whatever that calculator number is, you would just add 1. No, was it 9? And so n will be 10. Okay? Now, once you know that n is 10, now you're going to use the formula. And so I've got the first term times 1 minus r to the number of terms divided by 1 minus r. Okay. We're gonna make it, right? We might go a little over. So if y'all want to call your parents if you have a ride coming, if you want to stay 15 extra minutes, that might not be a terrible idea if you would like to stay. Okay, what'd y'all do with 69? Is it arithmetic or geometric? Arithmetic. And the first term is 201, and the difference is 1. And how many terms are there? 5. So I know this is going to be the sum of n equals 1 to 5. But then I need to figure out what the actual equation is going to be. and that's the first term plus the difference times n minus 1. So this is going to be n plus 200. Right? So I can still figure out how many terms there are just by counting, and I can figure out what the formula would be because it was arithmetic. Now, what kind of a equation is 70? It's neither. But how many terms are there? There's 4. So I'm going to go n equals 1 to 4. And if I want the first term to be 1, what has to go in the numerator? N. What goes in the denominator? N plus 1. Great. Okay? Yeah.
Are we gonna get like a flashcard like today for the midterm?
A flashcard? You're not getting a flashcard. That must have been chemistry, maybe?
That was Miss Williams.
Oh, is that Miss Williams?
When would,
Oh, great part.
when would, it not
This will prepare you better for my mom. Yep.
when would it not be n equals 1?
Sometimes they just make weird ones that they don't start with 1. I'm always gonna start with 1. Yeah. Okay, perpendicular bisector. What are the two things you need?
Slope.
You need a slope. And what was the slope here? Have y'all done these yet, or have y'all not had a chance to do these yet? Some of them? Okay. So slope would be 6 minus 2 over 3 minus negative 1, which is 1. And so what's the perpendicular slope? Negative 1. And then I'm going to do standard form. I mean, point slope form. Y minus 2 is negative 1 times x plus 1. And if I want it in standard form, that's y minus 2 is negative x minus 1. So x plus y is 1. It's kind of boring, actually. Fix that for next year. Okay. I totally messed that up. Nope, scratch all that. Did exactly what y'all probably did. What did I do?
Yeah, I was about to say.
I didn't find the midpoint. Yeah, I talked about it and I didn't do it. So where's the midpoint here? 1, 4. So it has to go to the midpoint. Y minus 4 is negative 1 times x minus 1. There it is. That's better. I thought that sounded like a really boring line. All right, how do you find the, actually I have a question. Would y'all rather have some time to work on these last few and then ask questions?
Just
No. Y'all rather do this? Okay, all right. Insert blank page. You're like, wait, if one of the options is actually have to do some work, then no. All right. What if I want to find the vertex? Yeah. Okay. They didn't have a calculator with me. Okay, so I know the x of the vertex is negative b over 2a, which is negative 9. How do I find the y?
Now you plug in.
Plug it in, right. That is a 7. Okay, so where's the vertex?
Wait, how'd you get -9?
Because I did negative b over 2a. And the b and the a are both positive, so it came out negative. All right, what'd y'all get?
Negative b over 2a.
The x of the vertex. I'm not going to give you the answer. But all have covered. Negative 5. Thank you for saving everyone. Okay? Now, that means if I wanted to, I could rewrite this parabola. 2 times x minus negative 9 squared minus 5. Okay? And I wouldn't have to complete the square to do it. So that's how I can find the vertex. Where's the axis of symmetry? equals negative 9, right up and down the middle, okay? Now, for me to find directrix and focus, I have to remember that AC is equal to what? 1/4. And what's A? It's 2. So 2C is 1/4, and C is 1/8. And so if I picture my parabola with a vertex of negative 9, negative 5, I need to go up to get to the focus, right? And how do I go up from negative 9, negative 5? I keep the negative 9, and where does the y end up? Negative 4 and 7/8. One of the few times we use mixed numbers, right? Because it's easier. And if I want to find the directrix, I need to go down the same distance. And it's y equals, and y equals what? Negative 5 and 1/8. Okay? So the focus is going to be inside the parabola. So if the parabola had opened down, I'd have to like go down and sneak into the inside of it. Right? Now, how is 73 different? It's horizontal, it's sideways. Now, that means though I can find the y of the vertex by using negative b over 2a, and I can find the x by plugging it in. And so what's the y of the vertex? Negative 5, and I can find the x by plugging in. So what's the x? Negative 7. Okay. And does this parabola open left or right? Opens right. It's got a positive a. So here's my vertex, and I'm going to have to move either direction to get to my other little bits I've got right here. And where's the axis of symmetry? Y equals negative 5. And then AC is 1/4, but what's A? Is it? It's 1. All right, so that means C is what? 1/4. And so if I want to find the focus, I need to start at negative 7, negative 5, and I need to move to the right. So how do I go to the right a fourth? Where am I going to end up? Negative where? Negative 6 and 3/4. And where's the directrix? It's got to have a variable in there.
Y or X.
X equals negative 7 and 1/4. Okay? So you've got to know whether you're going left and right or up and down. Oh, is it going to rain? So what I think we should do. I think we should jump to 86, 87, and 88.
Yes.
And then come back to the conics.
Yes.
Because we've done the conics and binomial theorem and rational roots much more recently than we've done matrices. Now, if I want to find the determinant of a matrix that's negative 4, negative 1, negative 2, 1, 3x, 1, 5, negative 3. That's diagonals, right? And to do diagonals, I'm going to need to write these first two columns again. So negative 4, 1, and 1, and negative 1, 3, and 5. And all the diagonals that run the direction that you read a book, so upper right-hand corner to the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to keep all those signs, right? So my first diagonal, I'm going to multiply those together, and that's going to give me 36. And what's my second diagonal? Negative x. And what's the third diagonal? Minus 10. Minus, now I'm going to change the signs of all of these. So 1 times 3 times negative 2 is going to be a negative 6. And 5 times x times negative 4 is negative 20x. And 3 times 1 times negative 1 is plus 3. And what does all that equal? Negative 9. Okay? And then you would just distribute and solve. Okay? So to be able to do the determinants, you would want to do this direction as keeping the sign, and this direction as changing the sign. Okay? Do what?
No.
Sure?
Yes.
You don't sound sure. Okay, let's start out multiplying. Multiplying requires rows by columns. 6, 2, 3, 4, 2. All right, so what happens is I'm going to take, this is a 2 by 2 times a 2 by 2. So how big is the answer? It's 2 by 2. Okay? I'm going to take the first row, and there's like little highlighters here, yeah. The first row and multiply by the first column. And I'm going to match up all the pieces. And so that means I'm going to take the 1 times the negative 1, so that's negative 1, plus negative 4 times positive 4, which is negative 16. So what goes in that upper right-hand corner? Negative 17. Then I'm going to do the top row, oops, it makes it green, and the right-hand column, okay? First row, second column. And when I do that, I'm going to get what plus or minus what? 3 minus 8. Great. So that's negative 5. But then I need to look at second row, first column. And that's going to be what plus or minus what? 6 plus 8. So that's a 14. And then my last one, what color have I used? Is, oops, that didn't work.
You don't have to highlight it.
Oh, no.
She does.
What was there? Negative 6 and 2? Okay, so last row, last column, which is going to be negative 18 plus 4, so negative 14. Okay? And then 88 works the same way, except for that now I've got a 2 by 2 times a 2 by 3, which is going to make what size?
2 by
2 by 3. And it's going to be negative 4 and 2 going with negative 4 and 2. So like the upper left-hand corner is going to be 16 plus 4. Okay? Yeah.
So you take the two outside, like
Numbers. Yeah, like if I was going to multiply a 3 by 4 times a 4 by 1, that would be a 3 by 1. And you can only do it because these match. If they didn't match, you wouldn't be able to do it.
If you had a problem with it, didn't matter, you just write.
Cannot be multiplied? Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
the outside numbers.
Okay, do y'all want to do binomial theorem, or do y'all want to go back to the conics? Binomial theorem, okay.
When you say 2 by 3, is it 2 up? Like
2 this way and 3 this way. So it's rows by columns. So like one that would look like, like that would be a 2 by 4, because it's got 2 rows this way and 4 columns this way. If you ever use Excel, it's rows, their rows work the same way, rows and columns. Okay. Scratch off 89. I'm not going to put something like 89. That's annoying. It's too much multiplying. I mean, it's better off to have like a term. Okay. All right. So if we're going to do number 90, and we're trying to find the third term as being raised to the 4th power, the way I would start is I would say that's 4 choose something, because it's raised to the 4th power. And it's 2x to the something that I don't know what it is yet, and 1 to the something that I don't know what it is yet. And if I want the third term, this 2x thing starts with the 4th, then it's cubed, then it's squared. So the third term is going to be squared, and the second term starts with raised to the 0, raised to the 1st, raised to the squared, and those two numbers should add to be the total power, right? And then what number goes here? 2. It's this number. Okay? All right, so in your calculator, what's 4 choose 2? 6. In your calculator, don't do it in your head. And then what's 2x squared? 4x squared. And what's 1 squared? It's 1. So this is going to be 24x squared. Ah, that's the answer. Yep.
How do you figure out the 2 and the 2?
Okay, so what I usually do is I want the third term, and it's raised to the 4th power. I think, okay, this first thing is gonna start raised to the 4th, so the first term's a 4th, the second term's a third, the third term's a square, and so it's 2. But the second term starts with 0. This is, if you wanna think about it easily, this is the number of the term minus 1. That one is, okay? So let's say, let's just make one up. Let's say I want the 11th term of 2x minus 3 to the 14th, okay? Well, that would be 14 choose something. I'll come back and do it in a minute. 2x to the something, negative 3 to the something. Now, this one, if you want, you can always get it from the number of term that you want minus 1. So what would this be right here? That's 10. And this one, you can either do the total minus 10 to get a 4, or you can picture and count in your fingers, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So it'd be raised to the 4th power if it's the 11th term. So what goes down here? That's the 10. Yes, this is gonna be super giant. That's all right. See you tomorrow. Super giant. That's why I don't make up problems in my head.
Is it top choose?
Oh goodness, all right. So I should stick to the study guide.
Wow.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So it's top choose.
Okay, so this one, I usually do number of term minus 1, right? So 11 minus 1 is 10. But these two together have to make 14. Yeah. Or I count from the front. That 2x would be to the 14th in the first term, 13th in the second term, 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 11th. Is it freezing in here? Okay, yeah, I'm pretty cold. Okay, do y'all want to do another one of these binomial ones, or do y'all want to go back to conics? Another binomial. You want to do 92? Okay. Let's try 92. Y'all take a minute and try it. Oh, it's raining.
How do you choose on the calculator?
So you put the first number first, then you go to the PRB menu, and you arrow over to the one that's NCR. You select it, and then you put the bottom number. this 2, that's the number of the term minus 1. So we want a third term, so it's 2, because that second variable starts with 0. So 0, 1, 2, squared, yeah. And then this one comes from, they have to add to make 100.
Are there gonna be any way we have to tell the difference? Like we have to use probability for the choose?
No, there's no probability. Yeah. This is the only application of combinations you would need is binomial theorem. There's just one. Yep. Yeah, which one do you want? Which one? Oh, either one. 94? Okay, so for 94, P, which is the constant, is 4. And the factors of 4 are 1s and 2s and 4s. Q is 16. And that's 1s, 2s, 4s, 8s, and 16s. And your possible rational roots are any of the P's divided by any of the Q's. And what I usually do is I do all of the P's divided by the first Q. So that's plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4. Then I take all the P's divided by the second Q, but some of those are duplicates. So like 1s over 2s, I'm now going to have 1/2, but 2 over 2 is 1, I already have that, and 4 over 2 is 2, and I already have that. And then I'm going to go to all the P's over the 4s, which is only going to give me 1/4 that's new, I think, yep. And then I'm going to do all the P's over the 8s, which is going to be 1/8. And then all of the P's over the 16th. So this one happens to have a bunch of duplicates because there aren't a lot of common factors, so things cancel out a lot. So if there are rational roots for that function, that's the only possibilities. So like it's not possible to have 5 as an answer because there's not a way to factor it that would have a 5 in it. Okay? And that would be the extent of that question. Like there's not going to be other stuff in it like we did in class. No, nope, just list the roots. So you would write all this and you would put a box around it and you'd move on. Yeah.
Didn't you say like you would give us a graph thing? Like in class, you told us you might give us a graph for that.
In class, after the classwork, because that way we could solve it. That way you could see what they actually were and you could solve it and actually get the answers. But on the exam, I split that with a different, like the only possible rational root question is list the rational roots. Yeah. Next year, we're going to do better. But y'all
So
are
is the
excited.
exam 100 points?
I think it's 250. It doesn't really matter. It counts for 20% of your semester.
Wait, what do you think it's
So-
like? How many points?
Cool. What is 250 divided by? It's probably like once you factor in the A's, B's, and C's, it's probably about 40.
40% grades?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because some of the bigger questions are worth 9, and some of the little ones are worth 5.
Is there gonna be a lot of partial credit?
Yeah.
Just to clarify, so anything not on the study guide, should not accept that?
Well, okay, yes and no. So like here's the problem. On the circle has a circle in standard form, and it's got a circle where it describes where it is, and a circle where it's endpoints and diameter, right? But I would also feel like I could give you a circle where I gave you the center and 8 point on the circle. And it's not actually on the study guide, but it's the same skill as on the study
Yeah, I
guide.
meant to-
There should be nothing that's like a surprise, like the way I didn't know that
It's
was
like
coming.
Kramer's rule, or Kramer's.
Yeah.
Okay.